Welcoming back Ivan Moody to Loudwire Nights. And although the frontman is hard at work on the band's upcoming 8th studio album, I really wanted to talk to him about Moody's Medicinals. It's his line of CBD and non-CBD health and wellness products. How perfect is that name? It's almost like a songwriter came up with it, Ivan. So good. How long have you been sitting on that one?
Actually, that was one that me and Jackie came down to a few names, and that was the one that just stuck out, to us the most. It seemed it's just too good to be true.
Too good
so
to
why
be true.
pass it up?
It totally is. Although CBD products are massively popular right now, I don't know too much about them, which is why this is kind of educational for me. But let's start with where your interest in CBD products began, and when did they even come on your radar?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Colorado. I don't want to say it's more modernized, but in medicine, we've been kind of staying ahead of the curve for years. And with the legalization of marijuana and CBD products in certain areas, I've been exposed to it for just about as long as I can remember. Now, my love for it came from becoming sober. As odd as that sounds to some people, my biggest focus is alcohol, is staying away from it. So CBD came in hand kind of combating symptoms that I have in anxiety and PTSD that I carry. I didn't want to get hooked on over-the-counter medications, and there are lots of them. The most overused drug in America right now is gabapentin, which they use for seizures as well as anxiety and pain and blah, 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 blah. And there was another drug like that back in the day when I was growing up. It was called Ritalin.
Right.
So it's CBD, long story long, CBD was a natural way for me to calm certain things, and with digestion, I don't get to eat a lot on the road. My time is very spot on and spot off out there. So it helps with my appetite, being able to actually eat after shows. Again, with the throat spray, 90% of the throat sprays out there are, alcohol based, and I didn't want that. So, I've been doing my own thing for years, the formula that I came up with, and I took it over, and Jackie and I got some actual scientists together and sent it to a laboratory and had it fixed to where it was a moderated rate of CBD, whether it's in the water or in this throat spray. And again, I use the throat spray before I go on stage. It's just to drop anxiety levels a little bit, as well as being an all-natural setup for alcohol-based throat sprays. The water is a no-brainer. Everybody drinks water, and when I'm on stage, I need it left and right. And CBD oil, for me, again, it's detrimental to being calm. You know what I mean? And to be keeping my head. Coming out of rehab was a big deal for me. And I'm sure anybody who's been in recovery or has somebody they know that's in recovery understands that there are levels of chemical imbalances and things that you have to go through. And CBD was a natural way for me to work through some of that. And it just became, so perfect for me. I even got my mother on it, for God's sake.
I saw that. I saw that. Why did your mom try it?
It's true.
What was she feeling?
The thing of it is, with her aches and pains and with her, her not being able to sleep, she's had 2 strokes. So she's, at best mobile about 2 or 3 hours a day. And the rest of the time she finds it really hard, for her body. She's getting up there in years, and she has horrible arthritis, so on and so forth. And there were so many meds in her cabinets. It was overwhelming. It was like walking into a goddamn pharmacy. And so I started just, kind of giving a little bit to her here and there and just saying, hey, try this out, see how you feel. And now she's using the lotions and the oils. Again, it helps her to sleep. She uses it for her appetite. It's just, I'm not saying it's the be-all, end-all to anything. But for certain people and in certain areas of your life, it's absolutely beneficial, especially for people like me. Be it not me to fight the curb, man. If I'm going to use it. And that's the other part of this, it's not something that I'm just putting out there. I'm not cashing in. There's a lot of people that are just putting products out there to see if they can make a mint off of it. This is something I use. Why not share it?
I definitely wanted to ask you about that. It's one of the most interesting aspects is that you're not just slapping your name on something for a buck. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but no one came to you and said, hey, this was all your vision. So
yeah, guess what's popular?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So where do you even start?
Well, first and foremost, I didn't want it to be, some of these electric pens that you buy and these random oils, they say there's a certain percentage on the back that you really don't know. If you look at a lot of those, underneath it says, such and such doesn't take responsibility for this, blah, 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 which is another way of saying if you get up on it or if it's the wrong dosage, we're not taking the heat. I didn't want that. for me, getting started on it, like I said, I've been having or using CBD products in my life for years. I don't think there's a starting point with it. I think it's something that I've just gradually grown, into.
Mm-hmm.
And that something something that turned the corner for me, and it saved me from a lot of things. My anxiety levels are through the roof. Everybody knows this. I puke before I go on stage every time. It's what I do. My nerves get rushed up, and my head's going a million miles an hour, and I'm really excited about being out there. So about 15, 20 minutes before I go on, I start drinking the water a little bit, and I'm sipping on it, and take a couple shots of my throat spray. And it just brings my nerves down to a level where I can think without having to be, riddled with anxiety and running out there and making a complete ass of myself, which we've all seen in the past. So I'm not, not trying to relive that shit.
No. Do you think there's any misconceptions worth clearing up about CBD? Because you kind of mentioned it in the same sentence as THC, but it's a very different thing.
It is very different. It's just in the same realm of more modern products, not to get me high. I'm not replacing one disease with another. It doesn't get you high.
Moral of the story, it does not get you high. There's 3 products.
You like that?
I mean, this isn't about me. This is about what you like. We don't want to talk about what I like. There's 3 products. I do want to try it, though, because I've never tried anything CBD, anything, and I'm super curious now that Moody's Medicinals is a thing. So, yeah, I am going to try it for the first time.
You know what? You actually should, too, because I actually went, even after flavors, a lot of those oils, they taste like oils.
So they come in oil flavor. Yeah, I know nothing, but I know that you have 3 products, which is lemon flavored CBD water, peppermint flavored CBD throat spray, and peppermint flavored throat spray without CBD. What made you include the throat spray without the CBD?
Well, it's because I use it either way. That is what I use on the road. The formula I came up with years ago, the basis of it, of course, is water and the peppermint oil. Now, a lot of speakers, let's just say speakers, when you use throat sprays like that, again, it's constrictive on the vocal cords. One of the first things I learned as a singer is that 90% of that comes down to your sinuses. So if you can loosen up your sinuses, clear your nasal passages and whatnot, it gives you, of course, an easier breathing passage, but at the same token, it just makes it easier to all around to push, yada, yada. So the throat spray I use either way, whether I'm in the mood for CBD or not that day. Okay. That's just something that I've used for years.
And is it true that if one uses their throat spray, they too will sound like Ivan Moody of Five Finger Death Punch?
A little bit of soul searching, and I'm sure they can get halfway there.
I don't think not
of
even
course,
halfway
man.
there.
If you can sing karaoke, you can be Ivan Moody.
Lies. That's a lie. But
total fabrication. It is a lie. Sounds
very humble
though.
of you to lie like that. I want to ask a couple of music-related questions since I have you, and I want to talk about Blue on Black, which is gotten to that #1 spot on rock radio. It stayed there for 4 weeks. Proceeds from the song have been donated to the Gary Sinise Foundation, meaning it's a triple win, right? So it raised money for first responders, added another #1 to Five Finger Death Punch's list, and you got to work with Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Brantley Gilbert, and Brian May. We're still playing the heck out of that song. Can you tell us a little bit of how that collaboration came together?
I mean, it's really simple. We were in the studio, and we had gotten the CD done. And I told the guys, I said, because we usually try, to work in the song that it's a favorite of all of ours towards the end there. And Kenny Wayne Shepherd is one of my all-time favorite players. I grew up, again, in Denver. So for me, blues, modern rock, classic rock, and country are big deals. Kenny Wayne was an icon. It's a fact that he's probably the same age I am. I grew up on it. And so when I brought that to the table, Kevin and I went into the studio and we kind of revamped it. Went back to the guys. I approached our management and I said, what'd be really cool is not doing a cover. Let's do a collaboration. And so we reached out to Kenny. We let him know that this is what we were doing. Long story short, he grabbed onto it, gravitated towards it, and involved himself. So at that point, I'm like, this is amazing. Now let's try something else. Let's get a singer on here. Let's see what we can do with this bad boy. And Kenny came to the table with Brantley Gilbert. And I was like, wow, this is really working out, man. This is starting to be cool. So there we are. We pieced this together, and it's already just, through the roof. And good old Jackie and Alan Kovac come to the table, and they're like, what do you think about this? And they threw out the name of Brian May. And my jaw hit the floor. I was like, if there's even a possibility of working with this cat, please don't miss it. He jumped on board. He was excited, which was exciting to me. And then we got the final versions of Everybody Back, and Kevin went in and did his Merlin mix. And there you go. And I am just ecstatic about the response we've gotten. Kenny hits me up like once a week telling me how proud of it he is. And I tell him, how cool it must be to have a new boat. And
That's funny.
Yeah, wah, wah, wah.
I want to ask you a new music question. How has the writing of album number 8 feel different from when you were working on And Justice for None, right? A lot of things have really changed for the better since those writing sessions. Is the music coming to you the same? Is the way it's all coming out creatively kind of similar?
Well, let's put it this way. I didn't start singing as a drunk. I didn't start writing or enjoying music when I was drunk. So I've always approached it the same, and that process to me is just opening my heart and soul and letting my head go as crazy as it wants and just getting all that out. Music is the source, and it's a perfect medium. And so, no, I've approached it the exact same as I always have. Difference is that now I'm very in tune and very in touch with my emotions, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. So that in itself is huge. Having to face certain demons, having the power and the understanding within to do it myself and to not need outside influences like alcohol, being able to handle everything better and to be able to temper what I'm doing. The music in itself is turning into gold stars over it, and there's no other way to put that. I'm just sitting there with the guys about a week ago, and we were running through a couple of the tracks that we have so far, and we were just speechless. And I wish to God I was making that up. I know everybody has to pump their album. I hate that.
Everyone
to
says,
be honest with you, I like,
best album ever.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's the best album
Totally.
ever made. Which is utter bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
This is, hands down, thus far, the best music I have ever been a part of. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
That's being real with you about it. I am ecstatic, and I cannot wait. It's a whole new level of us. It's like being fresh again, being a kid and walking in there, and everybody's on a new page, and it's just so exciting, man. And it's really what we've lived our whole lives for. Zoltan came all the way from a third world country to be here. I don't think his intention was to be mediocre. I don't think any of us share that light either. So this is just amazing. And thank you for asking, because it is a different world, but it's still approached the same, if that makes any sense at all.
Thank you for answering. We're super stoked for Five Finger Death Punch number 8. Cannot wait to hear it. And Zoltan is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh my God. And this guy's like Spock. So if he smiles, it's a big deal. Like, you got to take that in consideration. So when he's sitting in the studio banging around on his car and throwing shit, I'm excited. I'm like, dude, I forgot you had this side to you. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
That's the best word for it. I feel alive, like I'm actually doing this again, and it's not something that's hindering me. Music, for a while there, I was using it for the wrong reasons, and it started to become a venom instead of access to a bigger thing. And I had to remind myself, the power of it and how it touches me and other people. It's a hell of a platform to be on, I'll tell you that.
Your enthusiasm is infectious. Wow, I love it. This will be our last question. Don't want to take too much of your time, but I do
It's okay, I'm digging it.
Yeah. In conclusion, as somebody who religiously watches those Five Finger Death Punch studio update vlogs, I'm very, very curious if yoga is working for you. I laughed my ass off when you said that.
No, not so much.
No.
I'm trying. I really am committing. Like, I'm trying, but my middle name should be Not Limber. It's just, I'm trying to focus on the breathing and all the shit goes along with it. And at the end of the day, I just don't think it's for me, man. I'd rather go swimming.
I get it.
I tried.
I get it.
Does that count?
I hate yoga. And I love to be active, but yoga it doesn't do it for me. Have you ever tried a cycling class?
You know what? I have not, but that is on my list. It really is. Like, I want to try a rowing class and I want to try a cycling class.
I think a cycling class, because it's high energy, the music is blasting. I don't know if you they bust in with like the occasional inspirational quote, but I'm like, yes, this is the best day ever. Yes, I can take it on. So I think it's kind of fun.
Yes.
Try it.
You went
someday.
there. You committed to that. It was awesome.
And yoga for me, it's the same. It's like, okay, now I want to take a nap. Like, this is not enjoyable. I can't touch my toes.
Me too.
Screw
it's like
you.
the second I hit the mat. And of course, and it's just like anything else, like where you've got that 2 or 3 people in there who've been doing it for 20 years.
The worst.
You know, and it's pissing me off. They're doing like the epic dragon pose. I'm good.
And then they're like, do whatever you want. And then they do the handstand and you're like, you're just a show off. Shut up. I hate you. Okay, cool.
That's what I mean. It's like
Totally.
I'm paying to be insulted. Thank you so much. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Ivan Moody wanted to chat about Moody's medicinals, and we did just that. So I think I learned a little something there. So thank you for it. We're all looking forward to Five Finger Death Punch's 8th studio album. As soon as we have any updates on that, we will pass it along. In the meantime, we'll just keep our eyes on those vlog updates. And just thank you, Ivan. Thank you.
Hey, thank you 100 over. And I really do appreciate it. It's good to hear you.
Same.
Take care of yourself, all right?
All right. Thank you.